Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for our daily press review, and we're glad to be joined by Dr. Mervat Madkour, Professor of Political Economy of the Middle East Research and Development. Good morning, Dr. Mervat.
Good morning, Naveen.
And we start off with Al-Akhbar, the papers published today. Before Al-Akhbar, the papers published today all focused on the international press conference, which was held on Saturday afternoon by the head of the team investigating the causes of the crash of the Russian plane. And from Al-Akhbar front page, we read that the chief of the technical committee that investigates the causes of the Russian plane crash says we did not reach a conclusion regarding the causes of the plane crash, and we're still in the phase of collecting data. The spread of the wreckage of the plane over a wide area suggests it was dismantled in the air. The first black box revealed a noise in the final second, and it analyzed. Foreign Minister Shukri says we have not been notified of any information about the plane from any foreign country. The White House says we did not confirm that terrorism was behind the crash. The Russian tourism companies suspending the trips to Egypt threaten us with bankruptcy. Tourists refuse to leave Sharm el-Sheikh and stress Egypt is safe. No cancellations of any for the new year. And head of the port security says the CAO monitors the safety and security measures. And dear ladies and gentlemen, we now go to this report and we'll be right back.
Egypt pushed back on Saturday against suspicions that a bomb downed a Russian plane in the Sinai. This as investigators said that the cause of the crash that killed 224 people was still unknown. Initial observations from the cockpit voice recorder on the Airbus A321 were made public amid intensifying restrictions on air that threatened to cripple Egypt's vital tourism industry. In the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, from where the airliner took off on October 31st, thousands of Russian and British tourists waited for word of when they could fly home. In Cairo, the Egyptian head of the Technical Investigation Committee told reporters that the cause of the crash a week ago was still not known. On Friday, Moscow temporarily suspended Russian flights to Egypt, while London has stopped British flights to Sharm el-Sheikh. Empty aircraft are being sent out to bring holiday makers home. However, the process will be slow. Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri said earlier on Saturday that the inquiry had yet to establish any firm theory and that foreign intelligence that triggered the international travel restrictions had not been shared with Cairo. Egypt on tourism. Russians comprise the bulk of tourists who visit the Red Sea resorts, such as Sharm el-Sheikh, each year, and nearly 80,000 are currently in Egypt. Around 19,000 Britons are thought still in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Welcome back, and still with the same issue, and from Al Masri Al-Yawm we read the investigations into the Russian plane crash revealed that all scenarios are available. Moscow says no evidence whatsoever that took place, and Cairo says the world did not cooperate with us. An Egyptian delegation in London fails to end the suspension of trips and says the outcome of the talks are not that good. And a former aviation minister says the countries that manufactured the Airbus planes did not wait for the outcome of the investigations and suspended trips to Egypt in order to avoid paying any compensations. And the Brotherhood plan to destroy the economy and turn the people against the president. 2 years. The International Brotherhood organization is trying to hit tourism and keep investors away. And we now go to this report and we'll be right back.
Moscow and London were ramping up efforts to pull out thousands of tourists from Sharm el-Sheikh on Sunday. Russia, which lost the most people in the Airbus, which crashed minutes after it took off from the Red Sea resort en route to St. Petersburg, has temporarily suspended flights to Egypt. Britain has halted air travel to Sharm el-Sheikh. As the investigation continued, Britain and Russia were sending in planes to evacuate tourists. Russians comprise the bulk of tourists who visit Red Sea resorts such as Sharm el-Sheikh each year. Russia will send 44 planes to transfer its nationals. Britain has also started flying out the 20,000 people thought to be in Sharm el-Sheikh alone. 9 flights carrying almost 2,000 people flew back to Britain on Saturday, after around 1,500 returned the previous day. 11 British aircraft are on standby in Cyprus. Flight numbers have been limited because both Russia and Britain have banned tourists from bringing their check-in luggage, which will be flown home separately.
Welcome back, Dr. Mervat. Of course, the plane crash is the main topic in most of the newspapers today and the past week, the whole past week. How do you see the response of the international media to this sad incident?
It lacks, it lacks really being subjective. That's one thing, and it's non-professional. Have you watched the CNN yesterday report? Have you read the daily, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Guardian?
Of course, we're seeing a lot of attacks from the international media.
No, and it's not just an attack. Okay, though people hate conspiracy theory, still I insist that it is somehow a conspiracy theory against Egypt. And it has been so and going on since July 30th. And apparently, those who were planning our future, though nobody has the right to plan any other people's wishes or desires except the people themselves, but certainly those who really are against this concept of conspiracy theory would have to read, for example, Hillary Clinton's book, Hard Choices, the second edition, okay, in which she stated really frankly and bluntly that the plan for Egypt was to make Egypt non-existent by opening its borders to Libya in the west and to give and grant Hamas to end the Palestinian problem on our expense by granting them 70 square kilometers of Sinai, and by opening our southern borders with Sudan, okay, which is what they plan for this region to have Islamic, the so-called, because this is not Islam, by the way, Islamic governments in these regions.
Right. In relation to this, there is it's mentioned here in the same news item, a brotherhood plan to destroy the economy and turn the people against the president within 2 years.
Didn't you see what Hassan Malik did? Okay, hiding the dollars and buying off at a high rate, and that's why the dollar was scarce. And you know the law of supply and demand in economics.
Right.
Okay, and that's why the price of the dollar has risen.
This is true.
So the conspiracy of people from your within, or supposedly from your within, supposedly to be what? To be Egyptians, and still they work against their government. Okay, and there is a high confusion between if I am against a government, I'm against a government not in everything, but in certain things, because things were expected to improve, and they did improve. But improvement cannot come overnight, like progress, like development. They are all processes, okay? The point is that still the West does not understand the Egyptian people. It is at this time of precipice that the good and unity of the Egyptians really rise up. Okay, Egyptians are ready to travel to Sharm el-Sheikh and to fill the gap of the tourists that are coming from abroad. Certainly they will even pay more than the tourists. Why? Because a room for a tourist is
they
for
take
50,
very low prices, actually, very
40 or $50.
Yeah.
For us, it is 1,000 and 1,500.
It's true. It's
okay,
true.
so what I'm asking Egypt Air, for example, is to lower its tickets. That's the only
obstacle.
obstacle.
Right.
Why? Because a trip to Sharm el-Sheikh costs 1,700, while to Turkey 1,400. Come on. We want
the only obstacle is in airplane tickets.
Exactly. This
right.
is one thing.
I also would like to refer to the plane crash investigations. Now all scenarios are available, and there's no evidence whatsoever so far that an explosion has taken place.
And even, Niveen, if an explosion took place, this doesn't mean that there was a bomb or that it was hit by a missile. Why? Missile...
no, it cannot be hit by missile on that 30,000
unless it is a country.
feet high, right.
Okay? Unless it is a country that has advanced ballistic missiles to shoot an aeroplane at this height. Okay? And I leave it to our viewers really to guess. Having the 6th Fleet Mediterranean and the 5th in the Red Sea, and having Israel... When we should ask the United States, did you supply Daesh with an air missile? Okay, because they are thinking that they are clever. They don't know the Egyptian people. Okay, and they believe that making Egypt go through these harsh economic problems would make the people really go against the president. This is going to happen. Because we chose El-Sisi long before the 30th of June. Just he's standing against the brotherhoods who have been really exploiting the country and the people. Okay?
We've seen some countries suspending trips to Sharm el-Sheikh, and we've seen people jumping into conclusions. How do you comment on this?
My wonder is one thing, really. Malaysian airplane that crashed. Did anybody accuse Ukraine? It was all assumptions, or Russia, or whoever was there. No.
The
investigation take?
99 crash, Egypt Air 99 crash. Up till now, we know
there is no real evidence. They wanted to make El Batouti responsible for it. I knew
they also jumped into a conclusion that it was the co-pilot.
Well, okay. And he was not like as they describe him to be. He's a simple religious person. Like all those who are religious in any religion, Naveen.
He wouldn't commit suicide.
In particular, whether it be Muslims, Christians, and even the minority Jews, we are religious by nature. Okay? And the leap that Egypt has done during the 2 years, almost 2 years, it's a year and 16 months actually of the reign of Al-Sisi. Egypt has done extreme progress, and Al-Sisi has set us and the rest of the world in a situation where we said, wow, Egypt could have a president that cares for his people, that really is trying to establish Egypt, or actually assert Egypt's position on the international arena, and his foreign policy is magnificent. Everybody really liked the guy, especially the public.
Respects him.
And even respects him, that's for sure. But some even liked him. Some even Israelis wished they had one like at the time of the opening of the Suez Canal, if you remember. Some Israelis said, why doesn't Netanyahu come up with a national project or a mega project such as the
new Suez Canal?
Okay, but if I say problems, especially economic problems, there is no room for you to advance.
This is the
and
issue.
That's what they want us to arrive to. Since the beginning of this year till now, how many crashes took place worldwide? 13.
Yeah.
Okay. And really admire this British captain who claims to have been shot by a missile back in August of this year. But of course he kept his mouth shut. But as he plays very good Atari or very good video games, he was able to escape, imagine, a fighter. Okay?
Why is he silent? Why didn't he mention this at the time?
Is Cameron referring to? They have nothing. They only want to create unrest in our country, believing that this would really shake not just the Egyptian economy, but shake the position of the president among his people. And this will never happen.
Yeah.
Because Egyptians, menu, they really misread it always. And they will always keep on misreading it as long as they are really stubborn to understand the will of the people. This is what I call democracy. The democracy stories which they bring up, no, Egyptians are different. You cannot apply your concept of democracy on us. You cannot apply a menu that took place in Pakistan to make it prevail in Egypt. Egyptians are different. We are different. But still, this misleading reading of the Egyptians will keep asserting Egypt's position and the president. Because when we remember June 30th, did we all sit together and decide to go down, and even if we were threatened to be killed? No. It's because of the fear of the Egyptian who values his country, who really adores this country. Okay, that gave Abdel Fattah al-Sisi 64 billions to build a dream like the second Suez Canal.
Of course, and we're looking forward to other mega projects.
Definitely.
In the near future.
Even if tourism now goes down, it happened before. You remember at the Luxor
We've seen most of the tour comments and interviews, they insist on staying at Sharm el-Sheikh.
All our media yesterday was rotating around a question. Why did the British and Obama, who finally woke up, apparently he had been deeply sleeping, okay, claiming that Sinai is out of control of the Egyptian army. It is the goodwill of our army that really takes into consideration the civilians. And it could wipe off this whole...
in 2 days.
In 2 days. The whole thing will be gone. But because we love our people and we consider the Sinai Peninsula and its people to be part of Egypt, that we are taking care of our people in this part.
Right, of course, the investigations also of the plane crash are very important, and we will be following up on this issue. And back to Al-Akhbar front page, and we read El-Sisi assigns the government to establish centers for rescue and help to protect the citizens. El-Sisi assigns the government rescue centers to preserve the lives of the citizens. President El-Sisi holds a meeting with Prime Minister Sharif Ismail, the Ministers of Housing, Social Solidarity, Water Resources and Local Development. The meeting discusses the Cabinet's plan to improve the sewage network and the maintenance of the water stations to avoid any crisis because of the rainy weather. Dr. Mervat, how do you comment on this issue? And I think the issue of improving, of course, the sewage system is a main on top of the agenda.
Important. And why, Levine? Because in the past 4 years, many buildings have been erected through, but without license, without how many stories they should go up to. Okay, so all has constituted difficulty on part of the sewage system. Okay, the problem with the sewage system as well is, as those who have been caught yesterday, that have been clogged, or have been clogged the sewage in Alexandria, and they explained how they did it by putting cement and stones, a kind of mixture that really constitute what a concrete. This is how I do a concrete, mixing cement, sand, and stones. Okay, so the point is, I'm telling you, the conspiracy comes
inside
from
and outside
the brotherhoods. okay, whose wishes is to have foreign troops coming to Egypt, as has been expressed by Gamal Hashmat and Amr Drab yesterday, and the day before yesterday by Mu'taz Matar. Okay, we know who is behind all of that, and still we are dealing, because there must be some point in which your interest will meet up with the interests of are conspiring against you.
Right, and we have just one final item from Al Masri اليوم, and we read Ethiopia shocks Egypt. We're continuing the building of the Renaissance Dam, and we shall not depend on one consultancy bureau. Minister of Irrigation Hussam Mughazi says the rate of progress in the construction of Ethiopia's Renaissance Dam surpasses the course of negotiations with Egypt and Sudan. Dr. Mervat, of course, this is a very also another important issue, the issue of the Renaissance Dam. How do you comment on Ethiopia is progressing and...
well, Ethiopia is buying time.
Right.
That's all. To make you, what are we discussing? It's already been constructed. Okay. Did you see how mean the world is, how it is conspiring against us? It has to be Israel, it has to be the United States and their followers. Okay, and we hope and pray that the Ethiopians would understand one thing. We are not against their development. We are not against their creation of means to have electricity, because it is a very important element in development. But we have the right to what? To survive and to live.
Of course.
As the Pope Tawadros said there in Ethiopia.
Okay. Right. Dr. Mervat Madkour, Professor of Political Economy, Professor of Political Economy of the Middle East Research and Development. Many thanks for joining us.
You're
always
welcome,
a pleasure having you.
It's always a pleasure to be with you.
And dear viewers, we now go for a short break, and we'll be back to resume the rest of the segments of the Breakfast Show.